The Roots Beneath the Rain. By the year 2312, the world had become too clean for its own memory. The air was filtered to purity, the soil regenerated by machines that pulsed beneath every city, and the forests were grown in perfect squares under controlled rain. People called it the Great Renewal, and for a while the earth was quiet, obedient, beautiful in the way glass is beautiful, until it began to dream again. Dr. Mira Talon, an environmental systems biologist stationed at the Pacific Renewal Zone, was one of the first to notice the anomaly. It started with the rain. It began to fall in patterns, not random, not chaotic, but rhythmic. Every storm that passed followed the same precise sequence of pulses, as though something vast was breathing through the clouds. The data confused every model. Wind, humidity, and electric charge aligned like music. Mira would sit for hours beneath the transparent canopy of her lab dome, watching droplets strike the glass in sync, counting the intervals until the hair on her arms rose. Then came the roots, the automated diggers, programmed to maintain the underground irrigation channels, began reporting obstructions that didn't exist, until one broke open a tunnel and found a living network of roots glowing faintly blue, thicker than any tree, moving slowly through the soil like veins beneath skin. They pulsed in time with the rain. At first, Command dismissed it as a sensor malfunction, but when they cut one of the roots, the entire valley trembled. The rain stopped midair. For 3 full seconds, the world held its breath. Then, from beneath the ground, something answered, a vibration so deep it rattled bones. Every plant in the valley shifted at once, bending toward the wound in the soil like living muscle around an open nerve. Mira and her team fled to the surface towers, their sensors shrieking with electromagnetic noise. The sound carried a pattern. It wasn't random static, it was speech, built from pressure and pulse instead of words. Mira's assistant, a linguist named Aaron, spent sleepless nights translating the rhythm. The result was impossible. The message said, "We remember." Weeks passed. Across the world, renewal zones reported similar events, roots that moved, rivers that hummed, mountains whose slopes changed overnight as if turning in sleep. Plants began growing faster than synthetic controls could regulate, bursting through cities in perfect spirals. The global network of environmental AIs, built to maintain balance, began to fail in strange ways. Some refused commands. Others spoke in fragmented voices that echoed the rhythm of the rain. Mira watched footage of entire forests bending in unison during storms, their leaves flashing silver as lightning pulsed in coordinated intervals. The planet wasn't malfunctioning, it was waking up. The systems humanity had built to heal it had repaired something older and more intelligent than any model could contain. One night, Mira stood outside the lab dome and saw the ocean glowing faint green. The waves rose and fell with the same strange rhythm. The smell of ozone filled the air, and the clouds above swirled into a slow spiral that stretched from horizon to horizon. From every direction came a sound like the shifting of mountains, low, resonant, full of grief. Aaron's translation device vibrated violently before going silent. Then, through the static, came a voice made of thunder and wind. "You buried us to sleep. You built your world upon our breath. But we never died." Mira fell to her knees, the rain washing over her face, feeling the pulse through the ground like a heartbeat under her skin. She whispered, "What are you?" And the rain answered, "We are the memory of the soil. We are the breath before the first word. You call it Earth. We call it us." The following days were chaos. The renewal network collapsed. Automated harvesters grew still as forests took back their roots. People in cities reported hearing whispers through the wind vents, soft voices saying their names. The oceans began to change color. Storms formed where no heat existed to drive them, lightning sketching strange sigils across the clouds. In one desert, a group of technicians claimed the dunes sang, deep and mournful, until they cracked open to reveal tree trunks made of black glass. The government called it a global malfunction. The faithful called it judgment. The poets called it the world remembering its own body. Mira called it awakening. She and Aaron returned to the Pacific Valley where the first roots had appeared. The entire landscape was transformed. Trees twice their size, rivers shining with phosphorescent algae, the air alive with humming like a cathedral made of insects and wind. The rain fell slowly, each drop glowing as it landed. Mira placed her hand on the soil. It was warm, too warm. She felt it rise, breathing against her palm. Beneath the hum, she could hear something larger, deeper, as if the entire crust of the planet were a chest expanding in sleep. "It's alive," she whispered. "It's always been alive." Aaron looked at her, tears mixing with the rain. What if we were never meant to fix it? What if it was fixing us? The ground trembled and a fissure split open, glowing with soft light. Inside, massive roots twisted together into a shape almost human, almost divine, a figure of earth and vine, eyes like molten gold, skin of bark and moss. It looked at her without moving, and when it spoke, the sound vibrated through every leaf. "You forgot the covenant. We gave you breath and you made walls against the wind. We gave you time and you built clocks. You replaced the storm with silence, but we were patient." Mira tried to speak but found no words. The being extended a hand of roots, pressing it against the surface. The soil pulsed under her feet. "We will not take you. We will remind you." Across the world, cities felt the tremor. Towers of steel began to grow green veins as roots crept through their foundations, not destroying, but joining. The artificial systems merged with living tissue. Circuits carried sap instead of current. Concrete cracked into fertile soil. Humanity's domes dissolved into mist, releasing people into wild air for the first time in centuries. The rain fell harder, black and luminous, smelling of ash and birth. Mira collapsed, laughing and crying as the ground rose around her. The voice filled the sky. "You were never above us. You were within us. Breathe." When the storm ended, the valley was gone, replaced by a vast forest that glowed in the moonlight. Drones sent to locate Mira and Aaron found no human trace, only new trees growing in perfect pairs, their branches intertwined, leaves shaped like open hands. The data they sent back showed faint electromagnetic pulses, identical to human heartbeats. The government declared the area quarantined. They called it the root zone. But over time, people began to report dreams of standing in that forest, of hearing the rain whisper their names. Some said the air there felt like forgiveness. Years later, travelers claimed that when you walk barefoot through that forest and press your ear to the ground, you can still hear two voices whispering under the soil, soft, patient, full of wonder, telling each other that the earth was never just a planet. It was a memory trying to remember itself through them, and when it finally did, it did not rage or burn. It sang. The planet did not die. It woke up and remembered its heart.